Well, hey, everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop, and welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at La Marzocco, lamarzocousa.com. Email them at this address, info@lamarzocousa.com. They are the world's leader in dependable, beautiful, innovative espresso machines. They've been making them by hand in Florence since 1927. And whether you are looking for something like the KB90 with the straight-in locking portafilters and the scales in the drip tray, auto flush for great cleanliness, or something like the Leva, which is for like pulling a shot of espresso, that manual feel, or just the Linea Classic or the Linea S. There's a lot of great espresso machines that fit your style, whether very technologically advanced or very simple, but you've got to go to their website, check them out, and see what they have to offer. They are the cornerstone of espresso machines in the world, in my opinion, for a reason. And love their company, love the products they create. Think you will too. So check them out, lamarzocousa.com. Also, our friends at rattleware.com are supporting our episode today. They make smallwares that just work. So if you have the need for pitchers and shot glasses and knock boxes, etc., and of course you do, but you want them to work. That's the thing that they specialize in, things that work, right? And that's not always the case with smallwares that you kind of skimp on, right? Where they just seem to dysfunction and it makes it really hard to work. Rattleware wants to be behind the scenes supporting you, serving your customers with these great smallwares. So check them out at rattleware.com. So today's episode, we're going to focus on time management. And this has been a conversation I've had with a few clients recently. So I thought I'd share some of the things I shared with them with you, and maybe it'd be helpful. One of the things we talked about is having a owner's job description where you kind of think about what it is that you do. Well, I do everything. Well, that's kind of a throwaway answer because it doesn't really help you organize your time. Your time needs to be organized according to the needs that you see the business has. And you can see the needs that the business has if you sit down and think about what you've been doing, which is the first step in time management, to think, well, how do you spend your time right now? What needs to be done that's not getting done right now? Why is it not getting done? One of my clients, the reason it's not getting done is because it just kind of like looms. And if it's like a project that might take a couple of hours to do something with finances, or it's a project that might take an hour over here to fix an issue that's been nagging for a long time, but it just feels like it's not urgent or important. And therefore, I have to pay attention to the urgent and important things. The problem here is that we are training ourselves to only act when there are issues. And so what we're doing is we are rewarding the business for giving us problems. And we're basically creating this kind of a psychological overload of cortisol. And we're in this extreme reaction lifestyle nonstop because we keep on almost inviting the business to give us problems because we're saying, otherwise, I'm not going to take action. The truth of the matter is your business needs you to be consistent in the things that you probably hate doing, but they need to be done very frequently, very consistently. And I wouldn't even say they need to be done very well if that's what you're thinking. Like, well, I'm not really good at that, but it still needs to be done, whether it's accounting, whether it's preventative maintenance, or whether it's just conversations with staff members that you've been putting off. These things build up a weight on your mind that prevents you from making good decisions in the business. And those things, you feel like, okay, well, I got away with not doing them. I was procrastinating. And you might not even consider yourself a procrastinator, but you are putting this off because it feels like to do so isn't courting any disaster. I don't see a problem right now. But later on, that problem will emerge. What will happen then is that you respond to that problem manifest in the way that you've trained yourself to, which is emergency, managing by emergency, running your business by emergency and urgency. So all you end up getting is emergencies and urgency. That's it. So you need to start training yourself to be disciplined with your time and think through what you're going to do this week and what's very important to stay on top of and think again like preventative maintenance. It's kind of boring. You don't get to swoop in and solve the problem and feel the rush of having alleviated a pain. You're just preventing pain, which is not as dynamic, but very important for a consistent business. And it's important for you too to have an organized schedule every week for yourself, for your family, for your business, and the things your business needs between people and finances and function of the bar, marketing, and all of those categories that you need to kind of identify and then find a place for on your schedule and trust the system. I go back to the idea that you kind of need a second brain in the schedule and train yourself to actually develop discipline so that you trust yourself to actually come back to this idea. Where a lot of people don't trust themselves is that if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget it. The only reason that's true is because we don't have a system where it lives that we go back to remind us. David Allen in the book Getting Things Done, he talks about the idea that brains are good for having ideas, but not good for storing them. And so he's this huge advocate in the huge GTD movement of we need to kind of get everything out of your head onto a system that is going to allow you to have some psychological freedom, some mental margin. So instead, when you're talking to a customer across the bar and you want to engage with them and offer great hospitality, but all you're thinking about is this urgent need that was born from some little bit of procrastination that you need to go do this, you need to go do that, that's a sign that you need to invest in organizing the needs and studying the rhythm and the ebb and the flow of your business and gaining control one task at a time. Find a place in your week where that lives, do it, get it done, and then look back and say, that's done. Great. And then you get to be in that conversation. You get to be on the bar or you get to be doing something else and not thinking about 10 other things at the same time. This is something that I still have to do myself, and I'm better at it than I used to be. I can have a little bit more clarity of mind and focus and be present in the moment because I know that there are times and places for the things that need to be done, yes, but that I don't need to do everything right now. You can't do everything right now. You can't even do everything today, but you can do a lot of things on a lot of different days and times. And sometimes, again, it's not going to take very long for you to do whatever it was that you needed to do. Maybe you promised your staff you were going to do some follow through with the landlord of your space so that they can take care of some nagging issue on the patio that is not in your agreement to do. It might be in a northern climate, you need to get ice removal. I don't know what it is, but if you are able to follow through on that, it's because you have built confidence in yourself that you're the kind of person that can trust yourself to do this thing, whether it's follow through on it as soon as you can or put it in a place where you know you're going to come back to and actually accomplish it. And then just keep that up. Keep that up. But don't build this addiction to emergencies so that you almost subconsciously are wanting to have problems to solve, because then that becomes your identity. Like you're a problem solver in some way because you're a problem creator and you don't even realize that you're creating those problems. For those of you who are new in the coffee business, and maybe this is for everybody, you have to think a couple of years ahead and say, right now, I've been able to get by with what I'm doing currently. Now, there is a huge part of this that's because you have learned how to cope with the dysfunction that you've kind of created. But that's not an excuse to keep doing it. You've got to think about what a growing business needs from you later on. So if right now you can get by without having a couple of these disciplines, that doesn't mean that future you and future staff and cafes can still sustain that. Is it scalable? If it's not scalable to a big degree, like a larger degree, right, with many cafes or many staff or a busier cafe, just because you're slow right now and you can do it anytime you want, doesn't mean when you're busy, you'll be able to do it, the same way. You have to change. So you have to practice now for what you're going to be. Practice now for what your business needs you and others to be later on. And don't rely on only the loudest, most urgent thing to force your hand. You've got to kind of force your own hand because you know that these things are good to do. It's just, it feels in the moment boring, distasteful. You feel rather incompetent sometimes doing it. Maybe you're a really passionate person that is really into the social aspect of the coffee business and the artistic side of things, but the money and other things are so just difficult. And it feels like, if you could just put this off a little bit more and then bask in the glow of the things that give me energy. The problem is the energy that you get from the places you're comfortable doesn't give you the kind of energy to do the things you're uncomfortable with. So you got to kind of face it head on and develop a more resiliency and almost search for a new level of inspiration from the things that you find distasteful. That's a great hack, is to even think, well, how can I make what I find really terrible to be something that I'm at least consistent with, because I can attach the value immediately or long term to it. That's motivating right there, but it takes discipline. So plan your weeks out, think about all the work you do, find a place for it in the week, and face the resistance head on. Another great book, Stephen Pressfield, Do the Work, is a great read. It's a great thing to listen to. I liked listening to that. And that resistance comes up right at the point where we're doing meaningful work. And so let's not put this stuff off. Let's put it in a place. And let's become very disciplined and organized in the way that we're doing these tasks, because it gives us more freedom to enjoy the things that the consistency of those really important bedrock foundational things builds in our cafe. It's not going to be perfect right away, but the more you work at this, the better you get at it, and the more freedom you're going to find in your mind to enjoy the work that you do and to find fulfillment, even maybe in the tasks that you don't enjoy doing. So I hope that this was helpful today. Just a little bit of a time management exploration. I really appreciate all of you. Keep doing great work. And don't forget, we have the key holder coaching groups coming up very soon here. Applications are open for people. This is a mastermind group, a cohort of 6 to 7 coffee shop owners getting together for 6 months. This group really creates sustainable long-term change in the ways that you want your business to change, or the way you approach your business. The community, the support, the insights, unparalleled. It's really, really cool. The spring cohort is starting in the beginning of April. So right now we are accepting applications. I can't wait to talk to you. So go ahead. If you're a cafe owner, a brick and mortar of 2+ years or more, go ahead and click on the link, or just reach out directly to me and let's have a conversation. Okay. Take care, everybody. And we'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.